What's going on YouTube? And happy final month of 2024. Originally when I sat down to do an Ice-type Pokemon in Kalos, I was going to go with Avalugg, but then I came across Aurorus, and I thought it would be much better than Avalugg. One of the key factors was its stats and move pool. On paper, a 521 base stat total and a medium fast growth rate sounds pretty good. But there are some things that work against Aurorus. Being that it's an ice and rock type, it has a 4x weakness to both fighting and steel. And well, we have to face that within our gym battles and Elite Four. It also has a 2x weakness to ground, rock, water, and grass. Being primarily a special attacker though, we get access to Ice Beam, Blizzard, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Psychic, just to name a few. And being that we learned Blizzard, I decided to go with Aurorus's hidden ability, Snow Warning, for this playthrough. Snow Warning will be useful for Pokemon who have the ability Sturdy that we have to face later on, and it will make Blizzard 100% accurate. There's one last thing I want to point out while we battle Shauna here. You'll see in the top right that I've actually got some tech working. I managed to get a program called PokeLink to work with this run. Well, at least for the first 2 gym badges. Unfortunately, it stopped working around Karina's gym, and it had its own hiccups along the way too, by not properly updating stats, move pool, all that good stuff. I spent probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks after work every night for about an hour just trying to figure out why it would crash, why it wouldn't link, why things wouldn't update, and I didn't want to delay filming this video any longer. So, when we get to the 3rd gym, that's all going to be replaced with Aurorus's level up learn set and some gifts of it. I apologize in advance for this, but I think we can go ahead and skip to Santaloon Forest. I'm going to be battling every optional trainer here, and unlike Gourgeist, it's not because Aurorus needs levels for Viola, no. We need levels for Grant and money. I'm also going to battle the trainers just outside of Santaloon City on Route 3, but it doesn't end here. I actually make my way to Route 22 before stepping foot in the Santaloon City gym. I need 10,000 Pokédollars for the item that I want to buy in Lumio City, but all the extra levels and experience will definitely help with Grant and for the true danger after him. After I clear out all the trainers, I head to Santaloon City Gym and take on the Bug-type specialist, Viola. By the way, I hope you like the gym leader intros. They're kind of in a trial period right now. Anyway, there's not much to say about this battle. Freeze Dry one-shots her Surskit, and the Hail finishes up Vivian after a Freeze Dry. I have the opportunity to learn Icy Wind at the end of the battle, and I'm going to delete Powder Snow in place of it. At just under 40 minutes, Aurorus has its first gym badge. Unfortunately, from everything I've read, the badges in Kalos don't boost any of your stats in battle, and they don't boost the strength of certain attacking moves. By that I mean, if I were to use a bug move, Viola's badge would not increase the power of it. A bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Continuing on Route 4, I'm going to be picking up every single battle here, and while at the end of the route we do get the TM for return, it's really not going to do much for Aurorus. Although our 77 base attack stat could probably get us by, our 99 special attack stat is much better. And I didn't point this out at the beginning of the playthrough, but it's the reason I went with a modest nature. I'm going to jump cut past Lumio City and head straight to Route 5. Here, I'm going to be picking up any items I see on the ground because, as I mentioned before, I need money. And I have spent quite a bit buying repels and escape ropes for the time being. Once I defeat Rising Star Tyson, that's a very odd name for a trainer class, I can head back to Lumio City and buy the TM I desire, which if you haven't figured it out yet, I want TM78 Bulldoze. Now I know what you're probably thinking to yourself. You bought this move for Grant. You have Freeze Dry, you'll probably have Ancient Power by the time you take him on. Why would you need this move? And all I'll say is, just wait. As I jump ahead to Route 6 in Parfum Palace, there's one thing I want to point out really quickly about Route 6. I have never gone down the path on this left side until this playthrough, even though you can clearly see it's there and exists on your way to Parfum Palace. And honestly, this could be a bit of a game changer when I redo certain runs like Talonflame, for example, who really needed to level up before Grant. So, the trainers on the west side, we have the Pokefan family, Jan and Aaron, we have youngster Tyler, backpacker Roderick, and last but not least, Beauty Bridget, whom I did not battle. Although I did make an attempt to find her because I had a feeling there was an extra trainer looming somewhere. I'm going to jump ahead to Glittering Cave, and Aurorus has done a lot of extra training since then. My goal before Grant was to at least get to level 26 so that we could get Ancient Power, and although it's only 60 base power and 5 PP, it will provide a stab option for Aurorus and takes advantage of our special attack. Anyway, I take care of Team Flare at the end of the cave, and of course take the Jaw Fossil, which I can't wait for the day I do a Tyrantrum playthrough. I actually think I did a old Sanqui run with that thing, so maybe I could do another double feature like I did with Greninja. I get in some extra training on the beach so Aurorus reaches level 26 and learns Ancient Power, and instead of heading to the Salage City gym, I'm going to head to Route 10 and battle all of the trainers up here. Although I don't need the levels for Grant, I also take on all of the trainers in his gym, and you're going to find out why soon. Alright, I've talked about him enough. Let's finally take on the Rock-type Specialist and second gym leader. I have a Cherry Berry that I picked up in Camphirier Town for this battle. Ancient Power can't one-shot Amora, and my Cherry Berry heals the Thunderwave paralysis. Grant heals with a Hyper Potion as we knock it out on the next turn. I level up to 30 and decide to learn Round over Aurora Beam just to have some more move diversity. His final Pokemon is Tyrant, and of course Freeze Dry one-shots it. It's always nice when I can get a first try victory against Grant, even though we are a bit over-leveled. You're probably still wondering why I did all of this leveling. Well, the gym leader after Grant is Karina, and you don't just have your gym battle against her, you have a battle with her outside of Geosenge Town as well. I don't ever really talk about this battle because it's usually a pushover, but this is the battle I needed Bulldoze for. She has 2 Lucarios that will just spam Power-Up Punch against you, and Bulldoze is necessary because not only does it 2-shot them, but it lowers their speed so you can then outspeed them. And if either of them get a critical hit, just reset. I'll admit that I had started a run prior to this one, and got to this point and just got walled, where I restarted the whole run as I thought of another strategy, and possibly pivoted back to Avalugg. Thankfully I was able to come up with this rather quickly, and if only I had not deleted my save data prior. Since Karina is the next gym leader, I'm going to be taking on nearly every trainer on Route 11 and in Reflection Cave. I can pick up the TM for Rock Polish here as well. I'm going to jump straight ahead to Shalor City and the rival battle against Callum, which one thing I'm going to point out about this battle, you'll notice here that our moveset hasn't updated, along with the level that's up on top of it, but our stats below are updating. And this is where Pokelink just took a shit on me. Luckily, Aurorus has no trouble shitting on the rival. But now I have to make my way to Karina's Fighting-type gym, where Aurorus has a 4x weakness, and things got extremely frustrating in this run to this point. While the first trainer I face gives me no problems, the second trainer and every other one gives Aurorus a reset. So let's take a look at them all. This trainer, her Sock uses Low Sweep, lowering my speed, and then outspeeds me to finish me off. This trainer's Throw uses Revenge, one-shotting me from nearly full health. I battled that same trainer again and make it to the Machoke, but I only have 20 HP and it's able to finish me with Seismic Toss. There were a few trainers that I skipped within Reflection Cave for good reason, because they all have fighting types on their team, but I'm so desperate for experience and a way to try to get through Karina's trainers that I actually backtracked to battle them. I've also used my rare candies that I've picked up at this point because, well, what do I have to lose? Because I'm losing over and over again to the fighting types in her gym. I don't know if going into Reflection Cave changed my luck or something, but I'm eventually able to get through the remaining 3 trainers in her gym, and now it's time to take on the fighting, shredding queen herself, Karina. Mienfoo is first, Freeze Dry one-shots it. She sends out her Ace Hawlucha next, and it misses Flying Press, which, Freeze Dry one-shots it. All that's left is Machoke. I go for Freeze Dry, which misses the one-shot, and Power Up Punch does 60 HP, but she's caught in a healing loop, and we get the better damage roll the next turn one-shotting it. After what felt like being stuck here for weeks, which I did take like a 2-week break from this run, we have finally defeated Karina. Of course, we do have to battle her one last time atop the Tower of Mastery with a given Lucario, but that battle's not going to matter. Maybe if I do the minimum battles run in these games eventually, then I'll show it off. I head to Route 12 and pick up my free Lapras. I still battle some of the trainers here as well, even though Aurorus is overleveled to this point, although the next gym leader is Ramos, and although he seems to be the easiest in every playthrough I've done, this could be different for Aurorus. Getting an item like the leftovers this early in the game though definitely helps, and before I can even think about battling the Comarine City gym leader, I have to battle my rival Callum again. There isn't a change with his team from Shalor City other than their higher level. Freeze Dry is able to one-shot every single Pokemon except for the Absol, which takes 2. I have to say, even though Ramos is a pushover of a gym leader, he has probably one of the coolest design gyms. It's a giant treehouse. What can you not appreciate about that? And although he has a type advantage against us, I'm hoping he continues to be the easiest gym leader in these runs and doesn't end up like Karina, who is a giant difficulty spike. Jumpluff is first and outspeeds me with Grass Knot, but Freeze Dry one-shots it. I level up and have the ability to learn Nature Power, which I'm not going to do. Ramos sends out Weepin' Bell next, which also falls to a single Freeze Dry. Last is his ace, Go-Go. Freeze Dry barely misses the one-hit KO as it hits me with Bulldoze, but the Hail takes it out. Even in a run that seems as bad as Aurorus's, Ramos is a pushover. From here, we're going to make our way to the Lumio City Badlands, and eventually to the Kalos Power Plant. There's nothing eventful that happens here, and Aurorus is able to make quick work of all of the Dark, Flying, and Poison types. Eventually, we make our way to Lumio City, where the power to Clemont's gym is restored. Placing Bulldoze back on my moveset will give me 4 times super effective damage against his Magneton, who's also annoying with its ability Sturdy. Let's see how Aurorus holds its own against the Electric-type gym leader. His lead Emolga outspeeds me, and Volt switches into Magneton. Freeze Dry, although it's not very effective, does over half. Because I outspeed Magneton naturally, I can knock it out with Bulldoze the next turn. He sends out his ace Heliolisk next. I stick with Bulldoze, which does about 3/4, as Grass Knot does about 1/3, but now he's stuck in a healing loop until we take out his Electric Lizard. All that's left is Emolga. He decides that Aerial Ace is the best choice, as Freeze Dry one-shots it. 5 badges down for the Ice-type Dinosaur, and Clemont gives us the TM for Thunderbolt, which will definitely come in handy down the line and very soon, especially against Lysander's Gyarados. Once I leave Lumiose and head to Route 14, I immediately have a rival battle against Callum, and things start out a bit annoying because Meowstic is able to set up Light Screen. I do have Bulldoze as a physical option on my moveset. Eventually I select the Ground-type move and take out the annoying cat over 2 turns. At this time the Hail has worn off and the Light Screen has 1 turn remaining as Chestnut comes out. Freeze Dry does over half as Seed Bomb does nearly half to me. I knock it out the next turn, and with the Light Screen worn off, I can go full power against his final Pokemon, Absol. Freeze Dry barely misses the one-hit KO as it just sets up Sword Stance and then goes for Quick Attack. In these runs, Route 14 is a place where I usually take on a lot of optional battles, but with Aurorus, I at least want to try and get a decent time, so I'm going to beeline it straight to Laver City and take on the next gym leader, Valerie. Mawile is the lead. I go for Thunderbolt, which does over 3/4 as Crunch deals pathetic damage. I should have kept with Thunderbolt just to have her burn all of her Hyper Potions, but I decide to go for Bulldoze and Thunderbolt to keep her out of that healing loop. Up next is Mr. Mime, and I have no idea why, but I go for Bulldoze on this thing, and it sets up Light Screen. Maybe I was thinking because it has such weak defense that I should go for the physical move, when I really should have been using my special moves. I do cause Valerie to use her final hyper potion, and with all the bulldozes I've used on this thing, I'm going to outspeed it easy. By the time I knock out Mr. Mime, the light screen is worn off, and her final Pokemon Sylveon comes out. I get lucky as Freeze Dry freezes it, and it's just 2 more Freeze Dries for Aurorus to get its 6th gym badge. Aurorus looks like it should be able to learn the TM Dazzling Gleam that Valerie gives you, but unfortunately we can't. If only we had something for pesky fighting types, because we're not done seeing them. Just like we're not done with Team Flare in this playthrough, we have to head to the Pokeball Factory next, and I skip all of the optional grunts here. The only thing worth noting is that you do get the Master Ball here, which of course is just going to make catching Yveltal a lot easier. When we defeated Valerie, I had mentioned how we still have to deal with fighting types, and you were probably thinking, what fighting types? Welcome to Frost Cavern, a place that gave Aurorus just as many problems as Karina's gym, if not more. And let's go ahead and freeze frame it right here so I can go over the trainers you can face. So, of the 2 paths in front of us, there are 3 different mandatory battles that you can select from. If we were to take this top path, then we have to face Black Belt Alonzo and his Scrafty and Throw. However, this left path, pending if you slide on the ice on the bottom or top. If you take the top, you'll face Battle Girl Kinsey, and if you slide on the bottom of the ice here, well, then you have to take on the double battle. Alright, now that that's covered, let's check out the montage of losses. First up, Black Belt Alonzo. His Scrafty's high jump kick one-shots me. Next up, Battle Girl Kinsey. Sawk's low sweep lowers my speed and does massive damage, and it outspeeds me the next turn to finish me off. The double battle, Hariyama just hits me with 2 wake-up slaps in a row, and that's enough to finish Aurorus. And why not one more high jump kick for good measure? At this point, because Aurorus is just getting walled by all of these fighting types, I go back and I battle every trainer that I skipped prior within Frost Cavern, and on Route 15. I do have rare candies also, and I did try popping them and then all 3 battles once again, but it really didn't make a difference. I was still getting one-shot by the Scrafty, I couldn't one-shot the Sawk, Hariyama just likes to keep hitting me and not my HM users, but there's nothing else I can really do other than train. After hitting level 53, I use my 2 rare candies to bring myself to level 55. I'm finally able to get by one of these mandatory battles, and it's the double battle out of all of them, by using Flash. Yes, Flash came in handy in this battle. I used it to lower the Hariyama's accuracy 3 to 4 stages so it would just miss Wake Up Slap over and over and over again. Now that I can progress the story, we can take care of Team Flare and head to Anastar City finally. The first thing I'm going to do is head to the Pokemon Center and purchase the TM for Blizzard, which is going to go on my moveset right away. I have a rival battle against Callum in front of the Anastar City gym, and with Blizzard and Thunderbolt, we can make quick work of his entire team. I level up during this battle and can learn Ice Beam, which I'm going to delete Freeze Dry for. We have the gym battle against Olympia next, and this one normally isn't too difficult, especially since we outlevel her team by 9 levels. So let's cut the Anastar City music and cue the intro and see how Aurorus does. Hanging on to Freeze Dry for this battle might have been useful. I go for Ancient Power trying to get an Omni boost, which I don't get, and knocks out the Sigilif in one hit. Slowking follows, and it would have been nice to have Freeze Dry for this. Thunderbolt does over 3/4 as it hits me with Yawn, and this is where the battle gets annoying. She heals with a Hyper Potion as I fail to knock it out the next turn and fall asleep. She uses another Hyper Potion, and then begins to set up Calm Mind, and things could take a turn for the worst here. Thankfully, I wake up on the next turn, and 2 Thunderbolts are able to knock it out. Last is Meowstic. For an Ace Pokemon, this thing is pretty weak. It can't do much damage to me, and 2 Ice Beams are enough to take it down. With this victory, we can get the Calm Mind TM which Aurorus can learn, but now it's time for probably one of the worst parts in this game. and dealing with more fighting type Pokemon. It's time to head to Lysander's labs, and I'm really dreading the final battle against him. And in this first battle, considering his Mienfoo isn't fully evolved yet, it's not a problem at all, and having the Pyroar deal neutral damage helps as well. And in the second battle against him, even though his party is now fully evolved, we outspeed everything with the exception of the Pyroar, but again, it can only deal neutral damage to us. And since it's primarily a special attacker and we have great special defense, well, I think you see where that's going. Here's Yveltal's cutscene since I've shown off Xerneas's quite a bit. Alright, are you ready for another losing montage? So, Mienshao, it now outspeeds, and High Jump Kick one-shots me not once, not twice, oh, it missed on this third attempt. Well, I guess that means we're gonna sweep through his entire team. Until we make it to the Gyarados, that is. This thing Mega Evolves, so Thunderbolt isn't able to one-shot it. It retaliates with Iron Head doing so much, but thankfully we do outspeed it, and Lysander is finished. Before heading to Koraway Town, I'm gonna head back to Anastar City and pick up the TM for Hidden Power. I didn't talk about this in the beginning of the video, but for Aurorus, I went with Hidden Power Fire. I figured that it would provide me the best coverage against Wickstrom when I make it to the league. I battle against the Professor and my 3 rivals outside of Koraway Town. I head to the Pokemon Village and tell Wolfric to get back to his gym, and now it's time to take on our final gym leader. For this battle, I have Calm Mind and Hidden Power Fire, and I essentially want to set up and sweep. While I'm getting the special attack boost with Calm Mind, Abomasnow's Energy Ball is lowering my special defense, canceling out that boost. After 3 turns of setup, I decide to go for Ancient Power. It one-shots and gives me the Omni boost. From here, both Cryogonal and Avalugg are one-shots with Ancient Power. The gym leader portion of our journey is over, but there's still some errands we have to take care of before we head to Victory Road. I head back to the Pokemon Village and pick up the TM for Psychic. I then head to Route 15 to get a rare candy, and the TM for Dark Pulse. Alright, I know in this playthrough I've talked about how annoying the fighting types have been, but really it's fighting type moves. Take Ace Trainer Alonza here, who just has a single Weavile. However, this Weavile is faster and knows the move Low Kick, which does massive damage. Aurorus' Ancient Power barely misses the one-shot, and as a result, Weavile knocks me out. And the losses continued on this trainer, so much that I actually backtracked to battle trainers that I skipped on routes 22 and 21. I do have 2 rare candies in my bag and can pick up 1 more in Victory Road, and I probably could have used these 2 in front of Alonza and saved quite a bit of time. But if trainers in Victory Road are knocking me out, how is the league going to go? Especially when I have to face Wickstrom. After facing all of the trainers with higher level Pokemon, I'm at level 72 and pop rare candies to bring myself to 74. And even though at level 74 Weavile still outspeeds, now Ancient Power one-shots it. As I progress through Victory Road, I'm still going to battle some optional trainers, but there are some trainers with fighting types and even steel types that I'm going to avoid. Unfortunately, I still have to deal with the Victory Road Gauntlet, and one of the trainers has a Gigalith, and the other has a Skarmory. There's still the final rival battle against Callum, but Aurorus is so overleveled, it crushes his team. I'm going to skip by the Victory Road Gauntlet. Let's get into the league and see how Aurorus does. Up first is Seabold, and I've retaught Freeze Dry since I've reached level 77. It's able to sweep through his entire team, with the exception of Starmie. It just gets caught in a healing loop though, and eventually we're able to take it down. Up next is Drasna, and I should have taught Blizzard for this battle just to get the guaranteed one-shots, but after setting up a Calm Mind and taking out Dragalge, the rest of her team is no problem. Next up is Wickstrom. I want to set up Calm Mind, and I don't want to seed Torment from Klefki. After Flash Cannon though, it goes for the move. With 2 Calm Minds and Hidden Power Fire, I'm hoping I can just sweep through the rest of his team. I go for Dark Pulse because I don't want to use Hidden Power, and it does half. It hits me with Flash Cannon again. Thankfully, I can go for Ancient Power the next turn to finish it off. Unfortunately, I don't get the Omni boost. Wickstrom sends out Aegislash next. I go for Dark Pulse, but it blocks it with King Shield, and now I have to go for Hidden Power Fire. It hangs on with a Sliver, switches to its Blade mode, and goes for Iron Head, KOing me. I decide to try and take on Malva first, so I can get some extra experience and hopefully a level before I go back into the battle against Wickstrom. Because of Noble Roar, Ancient Power can't one-shot the Pyroar, but she heals it up with a Hyper Potion. From here, I'm going to set up Calm Mind so that I can sweep the rest of her team. After 3 bring me to +2, I go for my sweep, and get an Omni boost off Ancient Power. And a sweep is exactly what happens. In the second battle against Wickstrom, I get lucky as Klefki doesn't go for Torment. I set up 2 Calm Minds, and since I'm not restricted to using a different move every turn, the rest of this battle should be a cakewalk. He sends out Aegislash next, and predicting a King Shield, I go for Calm Mind and get the free boost. With +3 in my special attack, Dark Pulse now one-shots. Scissor falls to a Hidden Power Fire, and while his final Pokemon Probopass does tank a Dark Pulse and hit me with Flash Cannon, it's going to be caught in a healing loop, so I can just go for Hidden Power Fire and finish it with a Dark Pulse. Before taking on Diantha, I make one final moveset change and delete Hidden Power for Blizzard. Well, Aurorus, you've made it this far. It's time to see how it does against the champion. Hawlucha's first and outspeeds hitting me with Flying Press, but Blizzard one-shots it. And the one-shots continue on Goodra, Tyrantrum, and Gourgeist. She sends out her own Aurorus next. This thing knows the screen moves, Thunder, and Blizzard. I start to set up Calm Mind as it sets up the 2 screens. Unfortunately, it paralyzes me with Thunder. I don't get caught in paralysis on the next turn, and Ancient Power is able to one-shot it. All that's left is her Mega Gardevoir. And its ability Trace helps me out, setting up the Hail for me, and I have 1 Blizzard PP left, and I would love nothing more than to one-shot this thing and finally end the run. Unfortunately, Blizzard misses that one-hit KO range, but Diantha is now caught in a healing loop, and after she burns through her 4 full restores, Dark Pulse can land the finishing blow. And Aurorus has done it. I've used 2 Pokemon that appear on Diantha's team now. Gourgeist, who unfortunately ranks at the bottom of the tier list with an in-game time of 7 hours and 26 minutes. And now Aurorus, who's going to give Gourgeist some company at the bottom of the tier list, because it is now the worst Mon I've run in these games, with an in-game time of 8 hours and 16 minutes. Here's the tier list as it stands right now. I did some rebalancing after the Trevenant video. Surprisingly, the 2 best Pokemon I've ran that are not legendaries are Pyroar and Delphox, 2 Pokemon that I wouldn't expect to really do well in this region. I know at the beginning of the video I said that I decided to do this Pokemon over Avalugg, but now that I'm thinking about it, could Avalugg really be that much worse? Could it be better? We will just have to find out next time. But as a little treat, if you've made it this far, I want to let you know that in the next solo run, we're going to be taking a trip to the Unova region. I think I've been saying for at least a year plus on the channel how I want to do Gen 5, and now I'm finally diving into it. So, in the next solo run, we're going to be seeing how fast I can beat the game with just a Samurott. I'm really excited for it. Oshawott is the starter I chose when I first played Gen 5, and I hope you're excited as well. And in my Gen 5 runs, I will be completing the post-game, or at least I should say the Elite Four rematches and the battle against Alder. I'll catch you in my next video. Take care, everybody.